Rising from the plains of central Greece, the cliffs of Meteora look like something from another world. Clinging to the tops of these rock pillars are centuries-old monasteries, built by monks who sought solitude and a closer connection to the divine. In this episode, we continue our journey through Meteora. Today, we'll visit 4 monasteries in a single sweeping journey. The Monastery of St. Nicholas Anapafsas, the smallest of the 6 remaining monasteries of Meteora. Rousanou, with its elegant perch on a slender rock. Varlaam, with its grand architecture and treasures. As well as Great Meteoron, the largest and oldest of them all. Expect bustling crowds, cinematic views, and quiet corners of solitude. This is Meteora at its most breathtaking. Let's begin. Our second day at Meteora started on the road. The weather was hot and sunny with clear skies. Perfect for admiring the rock formations, though not so ideal for hiking. To escape the heat, we decided to explore the remaining monasteries by car. Driving up the road from the valley, the first monastery you come across is St. Nicholas Anapafsas. Unlike the others, it sits at a much lower elevation, which is why it's sometimes called the Gateway Monastery. St. Nicholas Anapafsas is open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. with an entry fee of €5 per person. To reach the monastery, you first need to climb a set of steps to the base of the rock, where you'll get your first close-up view of the monastery, complete with a small outdoor elevator used for moving supplies up the cliff. The exterior steps up the cliff were built between 1932 and 1936, giving visitors easy access to the monastic grounds. Because St. Nicholas Anapafsas was built on such a narrow rocky outcrop, it rises vertically, with multiple stories stacked on top of each other. From the various terraces along the way up to the top of the monastery, you can enjoy beautiful views across vineyards that actually belong to the Monastery of Great Meteoron, that is situated high above the rooftops of St. Nicholas Anapafsas. The name Anapafsas is often interpreted to mean rest, possibly because pilgrims and monks would take a break here before continuing on to the higher monasteries. One of those is the Monastery of Rousanou, just a little further up the road. That's where we'll take you next. There are a few parking spots just below the monastery. Entry costs €5 per person. Monday to Saturday, opening hours are from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., with Sunday hours starting an hour later at 10 a.m. The monastery is closed on Wednesdays. A set of steps climbs gently through the shaded forest towards the monastery gates. All monasteries at Meteora have a policy that requires visitors to wear what they call modest dress. Officially, women are expected to wear long skirts, which are available at the entrance to the monasteries. The Monastery of Rousanou fell into decline in the 19th century, but was restored as a nunnery in the 1980s. Today, it's a quiet, peaceful place, dominated by the dramatic landscape around it. On the side of the building, you can still see an old rope ladder. A reminder that this was the only way to get into the monastery back in the day. Rousanou is pretty central among the Meteora monasteries. On one side, you can see the Monastery of the Holy Trinity. From the main balcony on the other side, you get views back to St. Nicholas and Anapafsas, as well as views up to the imposing Monastery of Varlaam. If you want even better views, all you have to do is head back across the access bridges and take the little forest trail up to the Meteora Viewpoint. Along the way, the only sound you'll hear are the birds. This is one of the best spots where you can see most of Meteora's remaining monasteries in a single sweep. From Holy Trinity, which you can check out with us in another episode, down to Rousanou and St. Nicholas and Anapafsas, and finally up to Great Meteoron and Varlaam, our next destination. We drove up towards Varlaam past a long line of parked up tour buses and camper vans. The place was packed, but luckily a parking spot freed up right as we got there. From the car park, it's just a few minutes walk to the Monastery of Varlaam, which is open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., closed Fridays, and costs €5 to enter. Looking up, Varlaam looks like a giant, impenetrable fortress, seamlessly merged with the rock it rests on. A short footpath leads you from the road across a bridge to the base of the rock. From here, it's a steady climb up the steps to the monastery's entrance gate. It's a 373-meter drop down the sheer rock face to the valley floor. Far from being discouraged by the harsh setting, the monks created a monumental complex here, complete with expansive buildings and gardens that cover the entire summit area. In the year 1350, a monk named Varlaam climbed up this rock and lived up here as a hermit. But it took another 160 years before monks returned and built this monastery here, the Monastery of Varlaam. And together with all the other monasteries of Meteora, it is these days part of the UNESCO World Heritage List. We began our visit to Varlaam in the museum downstairs, where art, manuscripts, and relics tell the story of the monastery's long and rich history. Old photographs offer a glimpse into the lives of the monks who once lived here, long before the monastery became a major tourist attraction. Climbing the stairs brings you to the main courtyard, with views stretching to the Pindus Mountains, down into the quiet gardens, and across to the monastery's main buildings, including the main church, known as the Catholicon. While the inner sanctuary itself is off-limits to cameras, we can share the beautifully decorated ceilings and icons just outside. Next to the well where the monks once drew their water, there's a room with a giant wooden barrel, big enough for 12 tons. At first, it was used to store water, but later they filled it with wine instead. Next door is the room that houses the old winch that was once used to haul people and supplies up the rock. Just across the narrow ravine towers Varlaam's larger neighbor, the Monastery of Great Meteoron. Leaving Varlaam, we make the short walk across to explore the heart of Meteora's spiritual world. Founded a century earlier, the Monastery of Great Meteoron is the oldest and biggest of all Meteora's monasteries. Past the busy traffic and crowds of tourists, we walk the short stretch of road to the monastery's access point. The Monastery of Great Meteoron is open from 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m., closed on Tuesdays with an entry fee of €5 per person. From the end of the road, we followed the steps down. Past a little shrine at the base of the rock, up the steps to the narrow entrance door, and into a short, narrow tunnel that opens up to the winding stone steps, which eventually led us to the top of the rock. The Greek word meteoros literally means suspended in the air. Great Meteoron lives up to that name. A monastery between heaven and earth, solitude and eternity. This fortress of faith has witnessed centuries of devotion, conflict, and quiet endurance. Our tour of Great Meteoron began in the old cellar downstairs, where visitors can see an ancient wine press, old farming tools, and wooden barrels once used by the monks. In the old traditional kitchen, where pots and pans still hang in place, visitors can almost imagine the monks preparing their daily meals centuries ago. The monastery's walls are covered in beautiful artwork. Old frescoes showing biblical scenes alongside modern iconographic paintings. Beyond the tranquil bell tower courtyard, A few steps lead to the edge of the rock, where views open across to the Monastery of Varlaam and down to the valley far below. As we leave Meteora behind, its cliffs and monasteries remain etched in memory. Monuments not only of stone, but of the human spirit.